Tell me when.
We're still waiting for Connie to forward.
Okay. We are now live on YouTube.
If you're joining us for the IMC meeting, we have yet to begin. We're waiting for our parliamentarians, so please be patient with us a moment. And our president-elect is having problems with her mic, so that should be fixed momentarily. Do we see Connie yet?
Not yet. In the meantime, I am going to add a link to download the agenda in case people don't have the agenda handy. I'm going to include the link to download it in both our YouTube chat box and our Zoom chat box.
Thank you.
Let's see. I don't see B. Is she on, Karen? I don't see Kelly.
I am here.
Oh, there's B.
Has Connie joined us?
I don't see Connie. Yes. Jan.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, everyone.
So I'm hoping Chris is talking to Connie to see where she is at the moment. That's our parliamentarian if you're on YouTube. Thank you. Janice says Connie will be with us momentarily.
Yep.
Thank you. Hey, Celine, how are you? So is Connie on yet?
Not yet from where I see. Let's see.
Do we have any idea? Because we've got 3 directors that may have to hop off and on depending on what's going on in their office today. So I prefer not to keep us standing by.
Y'all hear me now? Hello, can anybody hear me from the city of Laurel?
We can hear you. You are very faint. Now I don't hear you anymore.
There comes Connie.
Okay. My apologies, everyone. If you're on YouTube, we were having some trouble getting everybody together, and I still don't believe that our president-elect, Mary Ann Hess,
Trying. I'm desperately trying.
she's trying. So we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I have 12:05. And if Maria's on, can you call the roll, please?
Is this any better?
Much
yeah.
better.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Is it too loud?
No,
No.
you're great.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I will step away. I
Thank
have no
you.
right to be sitting here.
Pamela, Connie's going to take the roll in the minutes.
Okay, that'll be fine. Thank you.
All right, for the roll call, President Smith,
Here.
President-elect Mary Ann Hess,
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Vice President Lisa Garcia,
Here.
immediate past President Sherry Pierce,
Here.
Region 1 Director Susan Haig,
Here.
Kathleen Monteo,
Here.
Region 2 Travis Morris,
Here.
Diane Flugfelder,
Here.
Region 3 Lee Frazier,
Here.
Tori Fink,
Brink. Here.
Frank, yes, I see that. Sorry about that. Laurie. Region 4, Phyllis McGraw. Angela Richburg.
Here.
Region 5, Angela Marshall.
Here.
I'm sorry, Carrie Muckford.
Here.
Region 6, Marita Rude,
Here.
excuse me. Region 7, Janet Gray.
Here.
Celine Hurtado.
Here.
Region 8, Luann Holmes.
Here.
Angela Johnson.
Here.
Region 9, Jamie Newman.
Here.
And Ruth Post.
Here.
Region 10, Lana Anthony.
Here.
Stephen Hike.
Here.
Region 11, Sarah Jeffries. And Hans Rice. Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, could we have a motion to excuse those that are not able to be present with us, which right now is Phyllis McGraw, Hans Reich, and Sarah Jeffries?
I'll make that motion, Luann Holmes, Las Vegas.
Thank you.
I'll second it. Angela Richburg, Region 4.
Those that, do we need to take a vote, or is the second and motion good, Connie?
And just ask if there's any objection, and then you don't have to take a vote.
Thank you. Any objections? All right. That passes. So I need a motion to approve the agenda as stated. All of you should have an agenda if you could take a look at it, or if you have not. And could I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as presented. Angie Johnson, Region 8.
I'll second that motion. Marita Rudy, Region 6.
Is there anyone opposed? Thank you. So then it looks like we also need to approve the consent agenda, which are the minutes. Does anybody have any changes or amendments you'd like to make to any of the minutes?
I have a change. It's just Travis Morris, Region 2.
Okay, Travis.
Okay, the first one is item C. And on that one, it is page 5. The spelling of Albemarle at the bottom under oath of officers and incoming directors. It's incorrect. It should be ALBEMARLE.
Thank you, Travis.
And I also believe for Region 3, the spelling of Alamance County is incorrect.
That's correct, Travis. It is. It should be ALAMANCE.
Thank you, Tori. Anybody
And
else?
I have one more, and this is item D, I believe. At the top, the date is, I have May 25th, 2021. I believe it should be 2022.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
Mhm.
Anybody else have anything else?
I just have one on draft A, the May 20th meeting. I was not present and I'm listed present.
Were you not present as an incoming?
I didn't arrive till that Saturday, the 21st.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
on those minutes also, the May 20th, my last name is spelled incorrectly.
Celine, spell it for us so the person can get Connie can get the name right, please.
It's HURTAD as in David O.
D, not G. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Unless you're opposed, we will consider the minutes approved. Thank you very much. All right, now we have a big thing going on. We are going to swear in our new Region 6 director. Gloria Christensen is our brand new director. And before I administer the oath, Gloria, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hopefully everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Has been with the city for about 28 years. Also the finance director here. Kids are grown in a way, and I'm very excited to be on this board. I'm filling in for a director who retired, so I'm only going to be here for a year, but excited to work with everyone.
Thank you. Are you ready to take the oath of office?
I am.
If you will raise your right hand, please, and if you happen to have a Bible.
I don't.
It's okay. So and say your name.
I, Gloria.
And you cut
It's a
out.
bad connection. I'm sorry, it's a bad connection.
That's okay. Let's start over again.
Okay. I, Gloria Christensen, MMC,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
perform the duties
perform the duties
of Region 6 Director
of Region 6 Director
of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks
of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and will uphold and defend
and will uphold and defend
the Constitution and the Code of Ethics
and the Code of Ethics
of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks.
of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Consider yourself sworn in. Yay. Thank you for volunteering. We welcome you to our group and hope we can make some lasting friendships. So the next thing on our agenda is an update from our Executive Director, Chris Shelby. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Pamela. Hello. The first update is just a building update, and I'm happy to let you know that we currently have 3 tenants, and one of the existing tenants has expressed a desire to expand, which we have agreed to. They've signed a 5-year contract with an option for another 5 years, which means that our tenant that is month to month has been given notice to vacate the premises by October 31st, and they're willing to do that. The good news on that is that the one particular tenant who is expanding into the 2 suites, their monthly lease agreement will pick up IIMC's mortgage entirely, which makes the other tenant that we just signed in August provide a windfall. That's just an update. We'll have more concrete numbers with the budget meeting next month, but I just wanted to give you that bit of news regarding our headquarters here.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Moving on, I sent out the 2027 conference proposals. You have those. And we received 7 bids, which is a pretty good number. Unfortunately, none of the bids meet IIMC's criteria to hold a conference. I think I found the majority of these bids were just kind of put together haphazardly. I provided each city that bid, and I gave a sentence or 2 regarding why those bids don't work. Everything from unworkable hotel blocks, high costs. One city was ineligible because they're in the same region as the 2026 conference. And our policy says you've got to wait 5 years before you can come back to that region. We had a couple of cities where the cost of the hotels were astronomically high compared to what we're used to paying. We had one city where the hotels were really not, well, they're kind of secondary and tertiary type of hotels. They weren't Hiltons or Marriotts or anything that we're used to staying. They're more or less overflow hotels. A couple of cities, we needed more than 3 hotels just to meet an existing room block. Our policy dictates that we try to stay in 1 hotel if possible, 2 if the second hotel is within a short, less than a 10-minute walk to the host hotel. And of course, if those are sold out, then we can always branch out to a 3rd or 4th hotel, which we've done in the past. One city, don't know why they bid, because the current host clerk can't guarantee that they would have enough volunteers or interest to hold a conference. So what we are asking is we could do one of 2 things. We can wait till the start of 2023 and put the request for proposal back out and see what kind of interest to generate. The second option, which would be my recommendation, is to just postpone the 2027 altogether for this year and put the call back out in next March, which would put us right back on track in terms of taking a look at the sites during the summer and then coming to the board, not at this year's mid-year meeting, but the mid-year meeting in 2023 to choose 2027. That will also kind of give us a little bit of a perspective on what the economy is doing, how cities are gearing up. Right now, hotels are still understaffed. So those are our 2 recommendations. Certainly we will not have, we didn't even attempt any site visits on these cities. It was just would have been a waste of time and money, not only for the city, but for staff as well. So those are the recommendations. I don't know if you want to vote or have a discussion. I'm happy to answer questions, but we're pretty good through 2026. So there's really no rush to get a 27 conference in the books right now. Thank you.
Is there any discussion? None? So then we need a motion of either,
I move option 2, which is to postpone the 2027 conference site selection until the next cycle, which will be June of 2023, as recommended by Mr. Shelby.
I'll second that. Susan Haig, I'll second that.
Any discussion? Sherry?
So how does that work, Chris? Then are you gonna bid 2 sites? I mean, are you gonna, I'm confused how that'll work. If you explain that a little bit.
So traditionally, at this mid-year meeting coming up this November, you would have been looking at the 2027 site. So if we postpone that one, we'll put the bid out for 2027 next spring. And then the board will bid on the 2027 site at the mid-year meeting in November of 2023. That will just put us back on schedule. So it's only one site that we're bidding on, but we're postponing it a year.
Okay, then we will vote on the 2028.
At the following mid-year meeting in 2024.
Is that its normal cycle, Chris?
It is a normal cycle. I mean, we're 5 years out, which is kind of unheard of. And sometimes that's a very good thing. And sometimes it's also not such a good thing because now we're locked into certain things. So it just puts us back on. We're good through 2026.
Stephen?
Sorry, that actually was going to be my question, is that if you're postponing 2, is that back to the regular cycle or are we becoming a new cycle? But as long as it's...
We're back to the regular cycle. If we go with option number 2, we're back to the regular cycle. We're just delaying it 1 year.
Chris, did this kind of happen because we bumped St. Louis into one of the years without really doing a bid?
No, actually, we just put St. Louis in that spot as opposed to doing a bid. We're on target. It just so happened that the 7 proposals this year just did not really materialize to our standards.
So Chris, if the bids go out next spring, when would be the deadline for them to get those submitted back?
Tori, it would be June of 2023 is when we would get them back. And then between July, August, and September, we would go out and take a look at the sites, and then we would present to the board the 2 or 3 or 4 potential cities at the mid-year meeting in 2023, a year from this November.
Thank you.
Grace, how long does the host cities typically need to get ready, fundraise, do everything that they're going to do? When does their ultimate timeline?
Well, the ultimate timeline would be usually a 4 to 5 year period. But some cities don't have that long, Calgary being a classic example of just getting their host committee ready now. They'll have 2 years out, but we like to give them at least 5 years. Whether they use all 5 years or not is up to them.
So,
go ahead, Sherry.
So Chris, can you clarify for me again? I'm sorry, I'm confused. So when would the bids go out for this? And then did you say they'd be due on June 2023?
Yes, the call for notice would go out in March.
Okay.
The bids would come in June of 23.
Okay, thanks.
Well,
Chris, can you clarify which regions are not eligible to bid for 2027 because of the policy?
the only region that right now would be disqualified would be Region 8, because Reno, Nevada is in Region 8 and they're there in 2026. So I'd have to actually go back and take a look and see where we are in 25. Obviously, Region 7 would not be able to bid for 2027 because Missouri is in Region 7 and they're coming on in 25. So I would just have to work at it backwards. But if you need a list, I could certainly provide that for you.
Chris, this is Karen. There's a question from you from our YouTube audience. asking when would the proposal come in for 2028? Would it be the following year?
Be the following year.
Okay.
March of 24 would be the proposal for 2028.
Diane,
So then if they're going to do March, thank you, Pamela. If we're going to do March of 24 for the 28 conference, then we're going to continue to establish a 4-year pre-existing plan, so we won't have the 5 anymore. It'll go down to 4.
We would go to 4 unless the board decides that they want to put 2 back to back, then we could easily do that as well, but we would go back to 4.
Chris, since so many of these proposals required multiple hotels to meet our minimum requirement, is there language in the proposal requesting 1 hotel that could fit the majority of the members?
In the RFP, we give them our qualifications and our preferences, and I understand not all cities can accommodate us in 1 hotel, but a lot of cities, the second hotel is within a close walking distance. We just don't want to get into a bidding situation where we're starting off with 3 hotels just to host the number of people that are going to attend.
anyone else? So right now we have a motion on the floor, Jamie and Susan, to accept option number 2, which is to postpone the 2027 conference site selection until the next cycle, which will be March of 2023. Will go out March of 2023. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes.
And then will be chosen at the mid-year in November 2023. So those in favor of that, please raise your hand. Those in opposite, thank you. Those in opposition, raise your hand. So we have 2, Travis and Diane. I don't see any more. Do you, Connie? Okay.
No, I don't.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
So the next thing on our agenda is item C under 6, policies and constitution. Chris?
Yes, this has to do with the code of ethics that I sent you. As you know, we were revising the certain policies, and this was the one that needed to go to the attorney, and the attorney did not have time to provide us with her input prior to the Little Rock conference in May. So I did meet with the attorney 2 weeks ago, and she looked at this and came back and told us that it's perfectly fine to have a code of ethics in our policy manual, as well as distributing to the members. However, the enforcement, jurisdiction, responsibilities, initiation and conduct of investigation, etc., is a bit over the top and not something that needs to be listed in such details, especially for a nonprofit. IIMC does not have the capacity to cross-examine members or find anyone guilty of wrongdoing. This puts IIMC in possible litigation, considering we're a membership organization. Her recommendation is the best that we could do is to provide a statement that IIMC will investigate Code of Ethics complaints to the extent possible for an association. This means that we can draft a few paragraphs about putting together an ad hoc task force to look into the violations and come back with a finding to the board. We do not need to delve into any more details. So basically on the Code of Ethics that I sent you, everything from enforcement on should be deleted, and we should just create a general paragraph regarding that if a complaint was submitted, that the board would take a look at it to the extent that it's feasible for the board. And that language does need to be written, and whether it's done by the policy committee or the board, but that language does need to be written. So at this point, we're asking if the board agrees with the attorney's comments regarding the Code of Ethics that would be in the policy.
there any discussion and questions? Luann?
Thank you, Madam President. So Chris, you're saying that we are not going to make our code of ethics clear with those additions. We're actually taking away 6.05.040 and on all of those we're removing.
Yes, she suggests eliminating all of those. That's way too much detail for an organization. And if you go through each one of these, IMC does not have the resource to do any of this. I mean, the simple matter that IMC would put an ad hoc committee together to cross-examine people is just, doesn't make any sense from a legal standpoint. We're not going to find anyone guilty. Remember, the code of ethics is really for the members, specifically for the board. Anything that goes on in a city that's unethical, a violation, the city would be taking care of that as an employee-employer type of relation. We wouldn't get involved with anything of that nature. This puts us more into a risky situation because a member could challenge us on this and we'd have no recourse in terms of fighting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Sherry, do you have a question?
Yeah, yeah. So basically what she's saying is that if we have someone who is in violation of our code of ethics, we have no, there's no, it's meaningless because we have no way to revoke their membership in IIMC. Is that what she's saying?
Not saying you can't revoke a membership.
Well, then how would we do that if we don't have a procedure to do that here?
Then you would have to define what a violation of a code of ethics is from A to Z and make sure you're clear in all those definitions, because I mean, at this point, we say it's a code of ethics. So an example, someone submits and falsifies their application for a CMC. Basically, we can tell them that we found mistakes and that we can put that application off to the side until they correct the mistake. At that point, IMC has no legal issue to go after that individual. I mean, that's a violation of ethics. If you want to revoke their membership, you'd have to have significant proof that they did something wrong, and then the board would have to vote on that.
But who would investigate that? Because we don't have a way to do that.
Right, that's what she's saying. The board has no authority to investigate anything of that nature. If that individual went and brought on a lawyer, what is IMC going to do in that regard? Who would IMC bring on to fight the issue?
Okay, so to me, we don't have, I'll shut up. But we don't have a way to, and this is meaningless to me because we don't have a way to, I mean, we can say all these things, but we don't have a way to basically remove anyone for a violation, even if they violated the code of ethics in their city. I mean, they could move to another city and or retain their membership. So anyway, I'll be quiet. I just.
Chris, do you want to respond?
I mean, you can leave the code of ethics as is. You don't have to take the attorney's advice on this. But what I'm saying is in all the years I've been with IMC, I've never seen anybody have their membership revoked. We've had members who violated things in their own cities. We've had members who have built their cities for large amounts of money and the city dealt with that and they're no longer a member. We get something from a city that tells us such and such an individual was arrested for such and such crimes. Obviously, we would remove them from remaining a member. But going after someone who's violated a code of ethics, I'm not really sure we have the resources or the wherewithal to do that. I think Stephen,
I don't see you. Sorry.
Sorry, listen, with respect to the lawyer, I can't support removing this. Lawyers provide advice on risk, and I'll be honest, I'm comfortable with assuming a certain amount of risk to uphold ethical conduct for the association. I would suggest that perhaps, we are a voluntary association. People don't have to join us. They have to meet the qualifications to be members. And they have to meet the expectations, namely to be ethical, according to our code of ethics. And if they are not so, then they don't meet our membership. So I would actually encourage the Constitutional Task Force to ensure that when they're looking at the Constitution, perhaps we need to clarify within that context that your right or the rights and privileges of membership are inherently tied to you maintaining the ethical conduct. Because I cannot support this. If someone came and made a complaint, and I'm not going to give any examples about a municipal clerk, county clerk, or anything behaving in such an unethical manner that they actually lost their role or were suspended in any way, shape, or form and don't meet up, I'm okay defending removing their membership. I'm actually okay spending money to defend removing their membership in a voluntary organization because it wreaks negatively on the entire profession.
Anyone else?
This is Lisa. I've also got my hand up. I just wanted to say that I believe as part of a code of ethics that members should be sanctioned. I believe it should be published. And if someone has committed something unethical, like say that they did steal from their municipality and it's a known fact, we should be protecting other municipalities from having that clerk go there and do the same thing in a different state. So I'm very much in support of a very strong ethical code, and even to go further to sanction people, publish it, and make sure that we are upholding our profession, and to make sure that if anybody does do something that harms their municipality or even IIMC, that we do go and let the world know that it did occur and that they do receive some ethical violations.
Anyone else?
President Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just request some clarification in the document that we've got? There are some comments ballooned out to the side, commented RC. Who is RC?
that's our attorney, Rosa Kumari.
So she made comments and then she came back and provided the additional information?
She made comments and then I contacted her to go over some of these comments. And that's where the discussion led to. So if I can just expound a bit, she's not saying to eliminate a code of ethics. She's in favor of a code of ethics. Most, if not all, associations have a code of ethics. What she's saying is, unless the violation is egregious and it's in our face, you have no way of monitoring violations, and you have no way of taking someone to task, short of what goes on in someone's city or perhaps a state or provincial association. How would you monitor all that? And I'm not saying one way or the other regarding this. I'm just coming back at you regarding that. How you could have the code of ethics. I'm not really sure how you're going to monitor 14,000 people in that regard. And then if you did, who on the board here has a legal background to go forward with this? I think that's where she's coming from.
If you've raised your hand, I cannot see it. So would you just let me know you want to speak by raising your hand on the video, please? if you have something else to say or discuss.
Madam President, Diane Flugfelder has her hand up. You might not be able to see her box.
I cannot. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Pamela. When you go back to, if someone were, sorry, the window's open and the motorcycle's out there. Okay, if someone were to steal from their municipality, if they were to come to me and say, I'm applying for a new job, ethically, I can only ask for their dates of employment. I cannot ask for their term or their reason for termination. I mean, there again, you're going on the other side of ethics. And if someone were stealing, and are we the ones that are going to go and put the word out on the street that they stole and they went from New Jersey and now they're looking for a job in Tennessee? That's not up to us to get involved in that respect. We, again, should have no involvement in that. So we need to be ethically correct on our end as well. And I understand what you're saying, but I also know how it's happened in New Jersey. And yeah, the clerks have left one county. They were convicted. They didn't lose their license and they went and got a job in another state. But it's not up to the New Jersey clerks to badmouth that individual either. So there's two sides to all the ethics.
Anyone else?
Jamie has her hand up, Pamela.
Thank you, Sherry. Jamie?
So I guess for me, it's if you steal from your municipality, that's a criminal act. Provided you're convicted, you go through the process, that's a criminal act. Ethics is not a criminal act. So would never support IIMC even getting involved in what other municipalities. I mean, I think you'd be wide open to lawsuit. That's not even our role, in my opinion. But Chris, how do you handle an ethical at a conference? I don't know, if somebody came to you and said I was sexually harassed at the conference, what would you do? What would we do today?
We have a policy, rules of conduct for the conference. It's published in the inside back cover of the program.
Okay.
We've had one instance where that happened several years ago and it was brought to my attention. I did tell the individual and I told him that if there was another complaint, I would go to the board and that the board would remove him from attending any and all future conferences. That individual has not shown up since 2011. So that's at the conference and that's how that would be handled. And because it's there, it's palpable and it's evident.
And then through the normal through the normal application process, somebody falsifies something on their application for certification. I'm guessing through your procedure, you vet that, whether it was, maybe it's unintentional, intentional, I don't know. What does that look like today?
We actually are going through a similar situation right now, and we just created a process, an internal process that we're going to discuss with the executive committee next month and then bring to the board at the mid-year meeting. But again, under the attorney's guidance, you basically have to let that individual know that we found some mistakes, give them the opportunity to correct the mistakes. And if they don't correct the mistake, then that application just remains somewhat, for lack of a better word, in escrow until they come back to it. So we don't move forward with it. It takes us out of the liability stage because we've let them know there was a discrepancy and it puts them back, puts the onus back on them to correct it. That's what we're going to propose. So that's how we deal with that. Because again, we don't have the authority to remove them or do anything of that nature.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
This is Lisa, just one more time. I belong to several other state or national associations for municipalities. And in our code of ethics, in our other associations, we do take it very seriously. And if somebody is if another member does give us a notice that somebody has been found guilty of something, or that there was something that occurred in their municipality, there is a act, they feel very compelled to be able to act, and they have the same nonprofit setup that we do. So I'm very confused on what the difference would be per se in the International City Managers Association versus our association, and how our ethics can be so different, and how the way that we would resolve it would be so different. So I guess it's just something I need to learn on my part to distinguish why one association would be so different than another.
Any additional comments? Sherry?
I mean, I agree with Lisa. But I do know that ICMA has a code of ethics, and they have a process. I don't know why they're different. But I just want everybody to make sure everybody understands that we can have this language in here up to where the member signs, but it's just language. There's no way to there's no way to there's no, I guess, if someone violates the code of ethics, if someone is found guilty in their municipality of theft or whatever, and that is brought to the attention of IIMC, there is no way for that member, the way I read this, to be removed from our association. So that just bothers me. And basically that's my comment on this, is that this has no meaning, I guess, to me. So that's it.
Madam President, may I?
Yes, sir.
So I think my other concern here is everyone's focusing on, or the focus seems to be on, if one of our members does something in their municipality. This is not just about what members do in their municipalities. This is ultimately what a member does as a member of our association, and unethical behavior. It could be, Chris brought the example of the CMC, lying on your CMC application. What if someone habitually lies to the association related to anything to do with the association and its members? That's also where we need to have some enforcement and say, well, you're not meeting our ethical behavior. And I think that's important that we not take that away. I agree with the comment that was made. Like, this is not criminal law. This is not about, crimes. This is about ethics. It's about rights and wrongs. It's not about burdens of proofs. This is about ensuring that our voluntary association of members is behaving in a way that we generally would reasonably expect. It's about behavior, ethical behavior.
Thank you, Stephen. Lee?
Chris, is there any way we can look into the process that other organizations take? It's like, so the board can review, maybe putting some teeth into the issue as far as that is concerning the ethical part of it. Just maybe a process that other boards go by. Because right now, like you're saying, this is just something written on paper. If there's no process to it, then, wasting time, to be honest with you. So there's any way we can look at some other organizations, look at what they go through as far as taking steps to sanction members or anything like that. So
we can. I think Lisa or Sherry mentioned ICMA. If there's any way for you to send that process to me, I'm more than happy to forward it to the board. Most organizations that I looked at, Lee, just had a couple of paragraphs that they would look into it so that it looked like there was a process there. And if it was something serious, I'm sure they would move forward on that. But I'm happy to forward ICMA's. I just can't get it. And there's nothing on the ASAE website. I've asked other executive directors what they have. Some basically just have a generic statement. If you're in violation, the board could ask you to revoke your membership, but nothing concrete or detailed is what we have. So I'm happy to forward the ICMA one. Whoever can send it to me, that'd be great.
And the only reason why I asked that is because you open up, like you were saying, legal can of worms, and you can go down a rabbit hole real fast with stuff like that. So we might want to kind of not try and reinvent the wheel, but kind of look at somebody else's policies or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
So do we have a motion possibly?
Pamela, Ruth has their hand up, and then Jamie has her hand up.
Thank you. Ruth?
Well, I wasn't prepared to make a motion, so I brought my hand back down. But I wanted to say that I agree with Stephen in that, our concern is ethical behavior within IIMC, or a majority of our concern should be there. The problem I see is that in our code of ethics, it talks about conducting my public and private life to be an example to my fellow citizens. And that opens it up to, what did I do last weekend at the party? So I 100% agree that within IIMC, our ethics matter, and we should be able to govern them. The problem comes when legally, I think, when we start reaching beyond that with an attempt to enforce our ethics code on other aspects of members' lives.
Jamie, did you want to follow up with something?
I did. I agree. And I just want to say, I mean, I am 100% all for a code of ethics. And in fact, my municipality just passed a comprehensive code of ethics. And it was so important to me that not only are our city council members included, but myself, but we have very particular prohibited acts, such as false statements, inappropriate use of title or authority, representing personal interests. So it's very clear. Those are the things that you have to, those are your boundaries. And if you go against that, that's when an ethics so they're more concrete. Kind of the way I read our policy, and just kind of like Ruth said, it's so vague. It would be hard, I think, to even, I mean, it's so subjective, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And this is Lisa. I just like to say, when you carry a CMC and MMC, when you are Athenian and you have your certs that are issued by IIMC, then for me, what you do professionally with that certification does say who you are. It also says who we are as an organization. So if it's not about what you do for me at the conference, or not about what you're doing for me if you're on your private life. It's about when you're in your professional life and what you're doing with your certifications. And that MMC, CMC, and Athenian means so much to those of us that are in this room. It's how we carry ourselves, who we are, how we represent our community, and how we represent each other. And I would hate to see someone who lies on their application, who falsifies documents, who is not upholding that paper or on our oath, continue to carry that same certification. That means that we support them, and they are equal and deserving of that professional position that they have. It's everybody sees it's different, and that's what's so hard about ethics, is that we all come at it from a very different place. But that certification and your credentialing is very important when it comes to ethics to me.
Anybody else? Kathy?
Thank you. Chris, would it be a concern for you? I am prepared to make a motion that we table this until the mid-year meeting, so we have time to explore Lee's recommendation regarding reviewing the different samples from other organizations. But is that going to create any sort of issue for you regarding a time crunch?
Would not create an issue for me. It's just the one thing that would not be updated in the policy manual right now. I agree with taking a look at another association's processes. I also would like to suggest to the board that I'd be interested in drafting a short paragraph regarding a process if someone violates the ethics, and have you take a look at that. I don't think the attorney's saying not to have a code of ethics or a process. She's just saying our process is so convoluted and detailed that you could never carry it out. However, if you had a general statement of a violation, this is what might happen to you, that she suggests is something that would be necessary to that. So if you want to table it till November and bring forth some more information, examples, it's up to the board, but I think that's a good idea. It doesn't do anything to me in terms of timeline.
Madam President, just a suggestion to everyone, tabling is not the appropriate motion. It can be referred back to staff to report back, or it can be postponed, either one.
Thank you, Connie.
Pamela?
Yes.
I was fortunate, I looked on the internet and the ICMA Code of Ethics is accessible to all of us. You do not have to be a member. So Karen did put the link in the chat box.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Sherry?
Unless Kathy wants to change her motion, I can let her do that, but I would move to postpone, or Kathy brought that forward, but the proper motion, yes, is to postpone this until our meeting in November, our next regular meeting in November.
And I'll second that, Sherry. Thank you.
Any other discussion? So we have a pardon me?
Sorry, I have a question, just for clarification, if I might, Madam President.
Sure.
Just if this is postponed to November, I think in my initial comments, I said that, you know, I wondered about how this all works with our constitution. I'm a little concerned that if we just postpone this to November, when we've got a constitutional task force that could be recommending changes to that part of our constitution related to ethics and membership, if this could we could do all this and not get anywhere, right? Or be too premature if there are constitutional questions around this. So it's just a comment. I don't know, or a question. Chris, do you think, or President Smith, do you think that the Constitutional Task Force might have some say on the issue of ethics that would ultimately affect any outcome?
Chris, that's a question for you.
Okay, I believe there is a amendment in the Constitution regarding ethics and a code of ethics. It's not the Constitution's responsibility to lay out a process. So I don't think that part is going to be affected. And seriously, I'd be very, very impressed that the Constitution Task Force would have major recommendations by November. The last time we had a Constitution Task Force, it took 2 years to revise it and bring it back to the board. But I don't think it'll slow them down. I think the ethics portion of the Constitution right now is fairly solid, and it doesn't need a process.
Does that answer your question, Stephen? Okay, so right now we have a motion and a second to postpone the discussion until mid-year meeting in November. If there's no other discussion, if you agree, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, so let's do this a different way. Let's raise your hand so we can see you on screen. If you agree, thank you. Makes better sense. Do you agree, Connie? Okay, anybody in opposition to postponing this to the mid-year meeting? Raise your hand. I can't see everybody. Does anybody raising their hand? Okay, motion passed.
Yeah, it might be helpful to take the votes using the raise hand feature so that you can just open up participants and see how many hands are raised.
Okay. We'll take Connie's suggestion, and if you are in favor of the motion to postpone to mid-year, raise your hand via raise your hand.
Okay, they can lower their hands.
All right, get rid of your hands. Now, if you are opposed to postponing this till mid-year, please raise your hand.
There are none.
Thank you. So the motion passes. This will be on the mid-year agenda for discussion. Thank you very much. So Chris, now we have the mid-year board development.
Yes, thank you. Friday is our board development at the mid-year. And at the beginning of this month, I believe we sent out a survey regarding the strategic planning. That's going to be the board development session. It's going to be facilitated by Lynn Tipton. And I just want to remind you that I will need your answers sent back to Janice Dowd by the end of this month, please, because that will help us formulate some key results area as we get ready for the board meeting, and will help us move the meeting forward in November. That's just a reminder.
So I believe the date was August the 31st for it to be returned, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So next we have the Education Department, Dr. Rodriguez.
Good morning, everybody. Just give you a brief overview of what the Education Department has done up to now. We are wrapping up our year for the online professional development program. We have done 6 courses so far. Approximately 500 registrants have participated, and we have 2 more to go. One will be happening in October, and then we have one happening in December. And the good news for members for the December course, that will be a free course to all members. And that will be IIMC's Christmas gift to the membership. Moving on, we are fully coming to a close on our beyond the project for that. We have fully developed all our pieces. We are just making sure that the project works coinciding with our software program. So we're just trying to work out all the bugs to that. But everything is coming along just fine, and we should have a full presentation for you at the mid-year meeting. And finally, we are getting ready for a conference. We have most of our sessions completed, and we are going to do an online registration once again. And with that, I'll go ahead and let my colleague, James Ulrich, give you the update with regard to conference.
Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, I just want to say it's so exciting to finally virtually meet you. So I've heard many, many great things, and I'm so excited for our upcoming conference. So as Dr. Rodriguez had mentioned, based on the feedback we received, we did decide to go with a pre-registration model for a conference. And what we've done is we took the feedback and we decided to incorporate more time in between sessions. It seemed like that was a consensus among most participants that they felt a little rushed. So we're going to make sure there's some more time in between sessions to get from place to place. And considering economic hardships, just the current state of the world, we thought, how can we make this more enticing for our members, considering the sacrifice that many make just to be able to afford to come to our conference. So this conference with our assessments included will be worth 10 points, which we think is very exciting. Our keynote speakers are lined up, and I want to say I'm at about 95% complete with all of our sessions and academies and Athenian dialogues being set. So we're excited to be able to launch this, and I'm excited to meet all of you in person. And I think that's about all I got. Chris said I have 30 seconds. I think I went a little over. I'm just kidding. But yeah, great to meet all of you, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Jay.
We'll go ahead and let Kelly give you the CMC and MMC update. Go ahead, Kelly.
Morning. Oh, am I muted? Yes, I am. Good morning, everybody. For those of you on the live YouTube streaming, my name is Kelly Sigson. I am IIMC's certification manager, in addition to Dr. Beatrice Jamis and Iris Hill, who is not on the call today. I am one of the 4 in the education department. My main role with IIMC is assisting our members through the CMC and MMC designation journey, as well as any other education inquiries that anybody has. So please reach out to me anytime. I have a very brief update for you today with certification. Per the July 2022 month-end report, there is a grand total of 4,513 CMC designations worldwide and a 1,381 MMC designations worldwide. Since the May 21st, 2022 board meeting, we have certified an additional 75 CMCs and 22 MMCs. The department does continue to receive a very high influx in certification applications. We have actually noticed a recent influx pattern of first-time submitters from brand new members from June until the present, so August. Certification appointments, so members that want to schedule an appointment with myself to not only go over process, but go over completed application reviews, are in very high demand. They're typically booked 1 week in advance. Current application review time remains at about 5 to 6 weeks. If it ever does go over that, members are notified ahead of time. I do not have any additional certification updates to report, but if I may, I did want to add a personal note. Dr. Beatrice recently reached her 1 year with IIMC, and Jamis reached her just over her first 90 days. And I have personally, in my almost 8 years been here, there hasn't been a lot of turnover in this department. And I have thoroughly enjoyed the camaraderie, the support, the efforts, the collaboration. You have a great staff in this department, and I look forward to our upcoming projects and beyond elated in this department. So as always, as the board, I appreciate your support. If there's no other questions, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Beatrice if there's anything else. Thank you.
I have nothing further. If any of you all have any questions, we're happy to answer those.
Anyone have any questions? Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. We're excited to see Jay and hear the great things from Kelly, and we look forward to having even more CMCs and MMCs. We know you guys are working hard. The next thing on the agenda, pardon me, somebody walked into my office. So the next thing on the agenda is committee updates. So the committee update that I do have for you is that we did appoint the task force committees. Chris, did you happen to send the board the members of the task force committee?
I did.
Okay, so I will read them out to you just because we have people that are on our YouTube channel. So our chair will be Mary Johnston, MMC, past president. Sharon Kassler, MMC, past president. Lana McPherson, MMC, past president. And Sherry Pierce, our immediate past president. We also have Bruce Poole from England, from Region 11. We have Peggy Hawker, MMC from Newport, Oregon, and Doug Barber from City of Westminster, MMC, City Clerk from Maryland. So those are our 7 members. And they were going to have already met, except Mary's mother-in-law passed away day before yesterday, so it had to be postponed. And after she returns from service and family obligations, then they will meet and start to discuss the Constitution. What I need from you is an approval by motion and second that you allow these members to be appointed to the Constitutional Task Force.
If I might, Madam President.
Thank you, Stephen.
Well, no, I'm not, sorry, I don't want to, I have a
No.
question.
It's okay.
Only because, and I think that the task force, the members, they look great. I do have a little concern that a significant region, which has its challenges, and we need to make sure that the Constitution of the Association is representative, that there's no one on there from Region 10. It's great that you have someone from Region 11, but I think it's really important to have someone from Region 10.
I don't disagree. I have someone in mind right off the bat. So as soon as Chris and I talk and we ask if this person's interested, then we'll come back to you on an email if they accept appointment. Thank you, Stephen. Anybody else?
How many of the other regions are represented? I know all the past presidents, but I don't actually recall off the top of my head what regions they were from. I apologize.
Peggy Hawker is Region 9. Doug Barber is Region 2. And Bruce Poole is Region 10. Sherry's Region 9. Lana, Chris, Region 9. Lana's who?
Lana's Region 7. Bruce
Sharon's 5.
Sharon's 5.
And then Mary's 5.
And Bruce.
So I didn't necessarily go through the regions to find somebody from each region. However, I do believe that Stephen has a wonderful point in that we need representation from regions 10 and 11 specifically. Any additional discussion? Could I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Madam President.
Thank you.
Second. Ruth Post.
Thank you, Ruth. So we have a motion by Stephen, second by Ruth. Those that are in favor, please raise your hands on the screen. Wow. Just slipping around on the screen is making me dizzy. Okay, put your hands down then. For those in opposition, please raise your hands. Your little yellow hand. I don't see any. Anybody else?
Madam President, this is Connie. I apologize. I temporarily lost my internet connection. I'm back. But if you could just provide to me the motion that was made, that was voted on, and by whom?
Yes, Stephen, Region 9 made, Region 10 made the motion. Ruth, Region 9 seconded to approve the roster with the inclusion of a person from Region 10. Did I capture that, Stephen?
Couldn't have said it better myself, Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the motion passed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, so are there any additional, we do have staff reports, Chris.
Yes, we do.
So Karen, you're up first.
Okay, I'm happy to speak on behalf of the Communications Department. I continue to work on the IIMC website, and that's maintaining it and updating it, making sure that it continues to be relevant, expanded when it's needed. A lot of my job is also to keep up with the other departments, and as you heard, education is quite busy, so I want to make sure that the website stands up well with their content. The IIMC LinkedIn page is up and running. I'm focusing on making it more robust and as a good place for professional development and professional networking. I'm open always to ideas on how to improve that site and improve our website and any of our sites really in general. Additionally, I'm working on also producing a short video on how to develop a newsletter template. And if there are other ideas from the board about resources that might be helpful for them in terms of communications, please let me know. That's the update from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Janice.
Good morning, Madam President and board. I'm Janice Stout, Director of Member Services. Tammy Story is part of our group, and Iris Hill is part of our Member Services group. And we're always happy to speak with all of our members online. I'm talking today with regard to our member drive that we're planning for the end of 2022 through 23. And it doesn't have a fancy name. It's just called Member Drive 22-23. And we will be marketing to approximately 4,000 possible members that will be additional full and full members. In our marketing mailer, we will be providing a promotional letter that will include testimonials from members that have their certification, MMC, CMC, and some that are working towards their certification. These people will be able to join either by filling out the application, which is marked with a code, and also if they choose to join online, then we'll have a code to join. Each one that is brand new to IIMC that registers with those applications will receive a free education class. And this will also work with all of our region director challenge new people. So now you have something to advertise with when you go to a state association. Here's an application. Simple question, are you a member of IMC? If they are not, give them your application and tell them with this application, you will receive a free educational class. So that's a promotion for you as well as our region directors. If they join online, they will be given a special code that they need to input on their application so we can recognize them as coming to IMC through our drive. Let's see, the promotion letter is included along with the application, and any questions that our members have will be able to call us and speak to any one of us in member services. And right now our count is at 14,595. And we hope that we can increase that through this membership drive. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. So now we're up to our annual conference update in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And before Chris gets started, let me give a huge shout out. We had a great conference site visit. I've been trying to post little teasers. I'll do that throughout the year. I would ask you, go to the website, the City of Minneapolis. You will not believe the opportunities there and the things that you can do and groups you can see. And it's all about prints and going to Paisley Park. And I just can't say enough, so I'll shut up. Go ahead, Chris.
You said a lot. It was an excellent site visit. We did spend a half day with the host committee and going over the program, the daily program. We are in one hotel. We are not anticipating getting a second hotel until the first hotel completely sells out. In that hotel is where all the education sessions will be, where the opening ceremony, the general sessions, the exhibit hall, and the majority of events will be under one roof, which is great. It's a wonderful hotel. The theme is Bold Education in the Bold North. And the August News Digest, which is online now, features some wonderful pictures and a great article on Minneapolis. And as Pamela said, the Minneapolis website is also very convenient and has some wonderful things to show you. Also, just to let you know, within short walking distance of the hotel, there are a variety of establishments. that I think our members will enjoy getting out and walking about. And there's also a sculpture garden in a park within a 10-minute walk of the hotel. It's all somewhat connected to the hotel. So the city has a lot to offer. And we are putting together, as B and J mentioned, the education program is almost done. And then we'll start fine-tuning some of the events and the programs that are going on there. But wonderful hotel. The price is also very amenable to our members. I believe it's $155 plus tax. So it's a little less than Little Rock. And that's it. We'll just start to promote it now, nonstop as we go between now and May. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So we have reports from directors. Does anyone have anything you'd like to share at this time, or you need to report to the whole? If you do, use your yellow hand so somebody can see it, since I can't see them all.
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. Mary Ann, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I don't have anything at this time. I'm just really excited about seeing all the faces, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in November.
Lisa, do you have anything you'd like to say, or?
I just want to congratulate. I've seen the two news IIMC articles from the directors that have gone out. They are wonderful. Congratulations on those. Pamela, I read the article that you put together on the foundation. That was excellent. It's nice to see our members supporting each other. So I think that's really great. Just congratulations to the entire group.
Thank you, Lisa. Sherry?
Thank you, Madam President. Other than just to mention that Pamela asked me to look into a student internship program, similar to what ICMA does with their members. So I have looked into that, and I'll have a report to you at the mid-year meeting on that, and maybe some recommendations for us. So.
Thank you, Sherry. I just wanted to say that I've had a great time so far in traveling and met a lot of clerks I would never have had an opportunity to meet if I were not traveling as president. But what I'm trying to do is on your websites, and I would hope that you would help me put little teasers or put something on there about what I'm doing, and in trying to engage more members on our region websites. I think that's real important. And many of you post constantly, and I really appreciate that, because as a member, I get to see those posts. And I think it's awesome that you are reaching out to your members. I am trying also, like I said before, putting teasers out for the conference, because this is a dynamic city, and I think it offers a lot, many restaurants to have your district or your region meeting should you so desire. As a matter of fact, when I was there, I sent a couple to Tori and Lee, said, we might want to go here before anybody else does. So, you know, just thank you very much. I just really appreciate the travel, the hard work that you're doing. Reach out to Chris or staff if you need anything, and I am available. Your committees are working. If you're liaisons, many of you have been on those committees. So, Chris, do we have any other announcements I might have missed?
Yes, I believe September 12th, we're having coffee and tea with President Pamela. That I believe Karen has already sent that out. So hopefully we'll get a nice large attendees like we did the last time.
So as region directors, if you can help us push that, you know, they don't have to be from any particular region. I did it at 10 o'clock in the morning for regions 10 and 11, trying to help them be able to get on before they have to go on at night. But you do not have to be a region 10 and 11 member to get on at 10 o'clock if you can't get on at the 3 o'clock. So I encourage you to reach out to your members and see if we can get more members on these meetings. because oftentimes it's a face-to-face opportunity to just see people you otherwise would not be able to meet. So with that, there's no other information for the good of the order.
Stephen and Kathy have their hands up.
Thank you. Stephen?
Actually, if I might defer to Kathy, she had her hand up before I did, if you wouldn't mind, Madam President.
Certainly.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, President Smith. Just a question either for President Smith or Karen. I know I asked this question after the last coffee. Is there a maximum capacity regarding attendance on that Zoom for that coffee? I can't remember actually the final answer, so I was just curious about that, Karen. Thank you.
It is 100, including the host and speaker. And we can increase that, but it has seemed to be a number that has, it seems to have been enough capacity in the past.
Great, thank you so much.
Stephen?
Thank you, Madam President. I think you moved on to other business and announcements, I believe. It would be opportune time for me to ask a question related to the board meeting and development of the next strategic plan.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So first of all, thanks for sending out the survey. I'm going to do my best to get it by August 31st. My question is, what are we doing to get the input and feel of the rest of our members?
Regarding the strategic plan? Well,
yes.
The strategic plan is board related. We have a membership survey that should be going out in the next 2 weeks. You will be receiving that next week. It's already been vetted by the research committee, and then you'll get it to take a look at the questions and see if you want to add any yourself. Then that will go out to the membership, and hopefully we'll get some answers before the mid-year meeting. But the board strategic plan is strictly board related. We're not, we're counting on you to get the pulse from the members in terms of what you want to do moving the organization forward.
So I can appreciate that. I think this will be fine as long as the output, you might call it, of the member survey is available to us, because while I appreciate that a strategic plan is a board strategic plan, it's about the members. Or the board of directors are about the members, the association being responsive to the needs of the members in the long run. And that's always been my view of a board of directors. And to be strategic, you need to know what the members need, are benefiting from today, what they're going to need in the future. And I don't think you can count entirely on just one-on-one or some-on-ones conversations to get that effective pulse. So I hopefully the survey will provide sufficient input into that.
I agree.
Thank you, Stephen. Does anybody else have anything that I've missed? Sue? Sue Hay?
Yeah, I just got the raise your hand thing. We had an amendment about the region, approving that region. Were we going to take care of that?
Yes, indeed. My apologies. It was sent in an amendment. So please allow me to apologize again. Yes. So Chris, do you want to take that and maybe Lisa will follow up?
Yes, so what you should have received in the agenda addendum is the Region 8 restructure, which was a short report by me regarding what we need to do. I also sent out an addendum from our parliamentarian, Connie DeFord, that explains why we need to follow this particular process. So you should have received that, as well as the map of the new split. So I think before I move forward, I don't know if Lisa or Connie have anything to add regarding the addendums, and then we've got to take up what the board needs to do next.
This is Lisa. Hi. I would like to say that at our May meeting, Luann, who's on, and Angela, who's on, we all presented the concept of what would happen if the election was successful. And what we did was we took our rotation plan and we separated the rotation plan, kept everyone in the same order, And we also created draft bylaws for each one of those regions as well. So what we would like to do after the board approves a name and allows us to go through is to have another meeting with our presidents called the President's Roundtable and discuss and make sure that that's exactly how the presidents would like to do. So in Luann's region that will be split, Luann comes off of the board in May. And so there'll be a 3-year period up there. So what we've talked to Chris, and so that new seat would be a 2-year term on that new seat, so that we would still have continuity for the members. In Angela's region, she just got her 3-year term, so she has 2 years. She'll have 2 years remaining in May. So that seat would be a 3-year seat. And that would allow for continuity. And we would think that they would be sworn in May, if the group agrees.
Chris?
That is pretty much what was discussed in May, and that was pretty much how we move forward. The only issue is that we would have to put the call for the vacancy out now, because in January, we'll be putting the call out for vacancy for Luann's position, which vacates. So we'll have 2 new people in that spot, and then 1 person joining Angie in the other spot.
And for continuity, if you want to appoint them sooner, I completely understand.
So do we need to talk about the naming of the 2 split regions in 8?
We do.
We had called them 8 East and 8 West. And the reason why we call them 8 East and 8 West is because when we first started talking about this, one of the things that the director said was, please don't interfere with any of our regions. So interference would have been splitting up states, adding to Region 9 or Region 7, or interference would be changing the names of regions. So it didn't make any sense to skip over and go to the international zone and create a skip gap, and that's not really logical. So we've just been doing 8 East and 8 West. It's up to the group on how they feel.
So am I to understand that Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, along with Nebraska, would be west?
No.
East?
Yes.
And then west would be Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. And I missed Colorado in east. I apologize.
Yes, and that's what we did. We didn't think North and South was good. We're not having a civil war to divide our region. We're just trying to be amicable. And the really great thing that's come across the 8 East and 8 West is that they still feel together, but they feel supported in themselves, and they can carry on and go to each other's conferences as well. So we're just trying to give them leadership opportunities and a ability to be able to go to closer events.
Okay. So then we would need a motion to name the 2 separate regions.
Madam President, first you need to have the board authorize the split before you can name it.
Thank you, Connie. I forgot about that. We talked about that, didn't we? So tell us what we need to do, Connie.
The board now has the authority to split a region. And so the motion needs to be to split Region 8 as outlined with the states. And then the next motion would be to name those regions. And then we can deal with the appointment of directors after that, or election.
Okay. Sherry?
So, Madam President, I would make the motion to split current Region 8 into, and Connie, correct me if this is not the correct way, into 8 East and 8 West. So I would move to split Region 8. And moving forward, they would be designated as Region 8 East and Region 8 West.
I'd second that motion.
So, may I, Madam President?
Yes.
I would actually prefer that we do this as 2 separate clauses, one to split the region and then another one to name them. The reason being is with respect to those in the region, I actually don't like adding east and west. I'm not a big fan. I think we've adopted Roman numerals and the new region, you know, I don't care who gets it, but they could be region 12. And that if we do any other splits, they be region 13. So because I just see us opening ourselves up to a whole whack-a-load of weird naming conventions down the road if other regions eventually split. So I would actually appreciate if the motion could be to split the region into 2 separate regions and then to name them, and then a second clause so I can vote against that clause, please.
Certainly. So Sherry, would you amend your motion?
Yes, Madam President, I would move to just change or amend my motion to split current Region 8 into 2 individual regions.
Lisa, would you?
I did not second that motion. That was, I believe, was it Ruth?
I think it was me. I would second that.
Thank you, Ruth.
Point of clarification, Madam President. Madam Parliamentarian, should we list, just for clarity of the record, should Sherry name the states?
No, at this point, with the naming of them, you would identify what is inclusive in that. Right now, you're only allowing a split of the region, and then the naming of it will identify which states are in which, however you would identify them.
Okay, so this motion by Sherry, second by Ruth, is only to split Region 8 into 2 portions. Is that reflective, Sherry?
Yes, or divide if you want to use the word divide.
Divide is better. Let's do that. For all those that are in agreement, please use your yellow hand and raise it. Okay. You can bring your hands down then for those who are opposed to dividing Region 8. Raise your yellow hand. So the motion passes to divide Region 8. So Connie says now we need a motion to name the 2 separate regions by naming the states and whatever else you, region whatever, Region 8 whatever, Region 8 whatever. Is that right, Connie?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. You're more eloquent than I am. So do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Luann, Region 8. I'll motion for Region 8 East to be Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. And for Region 8 West to be Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico.
This is Lisa, I second.
Thank you, Luann. Thank you, Lisa. So is there any discussion, further discussion? So we have a motion to have Region 8 East with the states that have already been spoken and Region 8 West with naming those states. So for everybody that is in agreement, please raise your yellow hand. Me. And I vote affirmative. All right. So take your hands down for everybody who is in opposition, then raise your yellow hands.
There are 6 opposed that I see.
And I did not count the
It'll
yes.
take a majority, Madam President, and there were many more than 6.
Thank you, Connie. So the motion passes with having Region 8 East, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and Region 8 West is Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico.
Madam President, now you have 2 vacancies.
So,
One in each region.
so are we talking about the protocol?
I believe Chris is prepared to advertise the openings. Right now, the Constitution says that you have a minimum of 26 members. Right now, you have 24 and 2 vacancies. So those vacancies need to be filled.
Thank you, Connie. So Chris?
We'll distribute a letter under your name, Pamela, to both regions, asking the state associations to either recommend a qualified candidate. If not, then IMC will run an election in East and in West to bring forward 2 board members.
Chris, I do have a question on that part. And I think it may be a lapse in my memory, so I apologize. I remember probably 2 or 3 years ago, we went in and we were no longer taking the recommendation from the associations to allow for more inclusivity in who gets to be on the board. And I find it odd that when we have a vacancy, we still go back to the state associations when we removed them from the process. So I just didn't know if I'm having a misunderstanding in what we adopted or how that integrates together with our requirements versus having them recommend someone.
You're correct. In the Constitution and in the policies regarding the announcement for vacancies, the state associations, the provincial associations no longer have to support an individual running. That opened it up for inclusivity. That change was never carried over into if there was a vacancy. We're still following the policy of contacting the state associations in that regard to give us the names of qualified candidates. So yeah, that is a discrepancy. So if I may, and Connie, you're going to have to step in here and correct me. If that is the case, then IMC can just put out a call to the East region and the West region, telling them that there's a vacancy, these are the terms, and see who wants to put their name forward.
That is correct.
That is correct. The only issue with that is that you may get 50 people. And we
That's also correct.
Yeah. And then we would have to run that election and go from there. So
we're all set there as far as if you have more than 2 candidates, it is a plurality now in accordance with the policy established by the board. If there's a tie, we're still up in the air.
Sherry?
Well, and in some regions, like Region 9, it's in our bylaws or whatever that we rotate by state. So that's a possibility to consider as well. But we in Region 9, we rotate our members by state. So that's just another, rather than region wide.
When these 2 regions organize and have their bylaws approved after they have been authorized by IIMC, they could make that determination that they want to do that. Right now, that's not in place.
Well,
President?
we need, this is Lisa, just for one clarification, we're gonna have to go back in and talk to our members because we did have talks with IMC about how this would happen. We did talk about splitting our region and keeping our rotation and just splitting it. I'd already talked to Chris and said, we don't mind if they do an all call. We just want to go back to our presidents and be able to say why we're going a different way or what we're doing. Isn't that your recollection, Luann and Angie?
Yeah, I recall the bylaws where you would put them together with the rotation of the states. And so I believe that's what I was thinking would occur.
Jamie?
No, and maybe this isn't the time of the group. It seems odd that if you have a vacancy, it's all open, but if you have an appointment, it's a different process. Is that something we can clean up eventually? Chris, didn't you say there was a discrepancy in the two processes?
Well, there's a discrepancy in that right now, if you are, you no longer need your state association to support you if you want to run for the board.
Yeah.
In terms of a vacancy, and for example, in terms of Region 6, Gloria just came on. I had that seat and they checked with the other associations in their region and they wanted to keep the seat, and Gloria was presented to us in that regard, which made it a very seamless process. IMC can run a regional election. We've done that before. It's just what the board wishes.
Additional discussion?
If I might, Madam President, just for clarification, but doesn't the board need to set the length of the terms of the directors of the for which vacancies might be advertised? Isn't that our responsibility?
I would think so, Chris.
Well, as you come on, it's a 3-year term unless you are filling a vacancy. So Gloria's vacancy in Region 6, and Gloria, I apologize for using you as an example, but that term expires in 2023. Gloria has agreed to step up through 23, and then somebody else from Region 6 will come in at that time for another 3-year term. So it is a 3-year term, and that's why, but what's happening is that Luann in Region 8 West comes off the board this May. So you would need 2 in there, 1 currently, and then 1 to follow.
Oh, yeah, I just want to clarify. So what the poll based on the current rules. So the 2 new, so we have a split region. So we're getting 2 new directors, 1 from each side of the line, as it were. And those will both be for 3 years. Is that correct?
No. Yes, technically you're absolutely right, Stephen. However, if you put them both on for 3-year terms, they'll both expire at the same time. There'll be no overlap.
No, I'm referring to the 2 brand new director positions. So Region 8 right now has 2 directors. We now have 2 new, we have a Region 8 East and a Region 8 West. Right. Are each entitled to 2 directors, correct? So we've created 2 new director positions on the board. So the board is increased by 2. Those 2 new will be 3-year terms beginning immediately, sort of thing. That's what I'm confused about.
Can I interrupt? This is Luann from Region 8 West. So I thought the agreement was because I come off and we are also trying to bring another new one on. We want to create an alternate pattern. So the new person will actually only get 2 years when it comes to West. The new person for East will get 3 years. Isn't that what we agreed to, Chris? And that way there'll be an off.
That is correct. That is what we discussed. However, you must remember you're coming off in May. So the person coming on now will do 2 years, and then we will need another person that comes on from Region 8 West to do the 3 years.
Right. Right.
Chris, I have a question. For continuity of services, would there be a way for us to extend Luann's time versus having that person's time shortened since she's only served a small portion of a term?
There is nothing in the Constitution or the policies that allows for the board to just automatically do that. Connie? Is there? I don't believe there is.
No, there is not. The person that comes on, if they come on for less than a full term, half of a term, then they can continue. But for instance, our newest member, if she chose to, could be a continuation for the 3 years because she's only serving less than a year. But if you've served your full 3 years, there's no way to stay on. Not according to the Constitution.
I filled an unexpired term, so technically I only filled 2 years.
But that's more than half.
Oh, so it's more
2
than
years
half.
is more than half, yeah. If it's less than half of the term, then you can continue.
But she could run again though, Connie, based on what she just said, filling in an expired term. Right?
Need to take a look at it.
Okay.
Excuse me, that's where I came in. I did 2 years for Heidi's term. I ran for my own, I got 3. So this is actually the conclusion of my 5th year. So
Correct.
Luann has the option to run at the conclusion of her 2nd year for her own 3-year term.
Right.
Or 2 years.
Any other discussion? Chris, do we have the correct direction?
It's a little confusing. We have the correct names now, which we will announce to to Regions 8 and West. We can put the call out for the new board members to come on prior to the mid-year meeting. And then once Luann comes off in 23, then we'll have to advertise for a 3-year term there. So the person coming on in Region 8 West will need to understand that his or her term will be for 2 years.
Madam President, Susan has her hand up too.
Susan?
I think I either missed something or I'm really confused, and I apologize for that. Region East is getting 2 brand new region directors, is that correct?
No.
Not yet.
So why is that particular region not having 2 region directors?
Because Region 8 East has Angie Johnson, whose term
Okay.
will expire until May 2025.
Oh, that's what I missed, I think.
Next person coming in, that term will not expire till May 2026 in Region 8 East. So there is the overlap there, and they're fine in that regard. It's Region 8 West who has the discrepancy because Luann comes off the board in May of 23, which leaves the new person, which just leaves 1 director for that region. That's why we would have 2 people come on board. 1 now and then 1 in May.
Thank you.
Any other clarification?
I have a question.
Chris, I just need a clarification on that. As far as East, Angela's term expires in 2025.
Correct.
So if it's a 3-year, it would be the same year. So I think that's a 2-year as well.
No,
No, it's 2, 3.
3.
From 2022 to 2025 is 3 years.
They would come in of May of 2023.
But then you are not in compliance with the Constitution, whereby you need 26 board members.
You're correct.
And if you give a 3-year term, both would expire in 2025.
So am I to understand that 8 East and 8 West needs 1 new director now with a term of 2 years each?
That's my understanding.
Chris?
That is correct.
And somebody else wanted to speak and I don't remember who it was.
Me, Luann.
Okay, me, Luann.
So if the new, let's just take one at a time. So East, Angela's in East, and she's serving a 3-year term. She expires or comes off in 2025, right?
Yes.
If the new director comes on in 2023, they would expire in 2026, right? That's 3 years.
That's correct.
They won't come on in 23. They'll come on in 2022.
No, they
Not
wouldn't.
waiting till May.
We're not. We're going to put them on right this bloody. Well, it's not a full term then, is it?
So let me interject here. Connie, there's precedent that we've had one region director serve. Region 6, Marita Rudy's been in that position for almost going on 2 years as a sole director. So if we brought someone on now just to learn the position, but they're not actually sworn in until May of 23, would that not put us back in alignment?
It would, but then you're going to have 2 vacancies until May of 23. Because the Constitution now gives a range of regional directors 26.
Okay, so if that's the case and it remains vacant, what would the harm be?
There would not. I'm just saying there would be 2 vacancies and if the board decides to wait until 23, then you're all set as far as the 3-year term. If you want to bring them on sooner, they would have to be 2-year terms.
May I, before I apologize, I do have to sign off in 2 seconds, as my note said, for another meeting I can't get out. Can the board not set the term of the new vacancy? Do we not have that authority to say that the term, which will begin as soon as someone is appointed, this will expire not in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, or you know what I mean? So do we not have that kind of authority in this case? I realize there might be a policy also, but I don't have the Constitution in front of me, but any policy is a board approved policy, and therefore we would have the authority to deviate if we consider it necessary in circumstances. So my comment is that why don't we just set the term of the newly created position? And with that, I do apologize. I have to go. See everyone in November.
Thanks, Stephen. Connie, I would think based on history, I've been around where I've seen boards actually override that just for the sake of convenience and sticking with the term. Otherwise, we would move forward and bring people on now.
And again, that's board decision.
Okay, so the board can make that decision in terms of holding off and bringing people on of May of 2023.
Correct.
Okay. Madam President?
We need to know what the board wants to do.
Absolutely.
Madam
So-
President, may I
Yeah.
speak? So it might be the most beneficial to hold off, and then that would give us time to do the bylaws for the East and the West, and it would have the rotation. That might be a process to take.
Any other discussion? Lisa, do you have anything? Then Sherry.
I can say that to the group that the one thing that worries me the most about this split, it's exciting because, we made it, it's happening for our members, super excited. The one thing I am worried about is Region 8 West, because having those 2 new members with no one who's written a newsletter, no one who understands what happens at a mid-year meeting, no one to guide them, no one to take their hand and walk through them. Of course, we'll all work with them. That is absolutely, but they don't have that one lead director that understands and takes the forefront. And that is concerning to me. If we do have the power to name and set when people come off the board, then I would very much like to use that power to extend Luann for 1 year, because I think it is vital that when we set up directors, we set them up for succession and we set them up to succeed. And the only thing that I am fearful of is putting 2 new people in and having no movement, no action, no one know what to do, and no one taking the lead. So to see a brand new region go stagnant, that is fearful for me. It's fearful for the members of Region A. So that's what I'm afraid of if we put 2 new members in at one time. And I would consider that an emergency even.
Madam President, this is Jamie, if I may. As a new director coming in, I couldn't agree with Lisa more. I mean, I don't, whatever the group decides on the terms or whatnot, but I would not be as successful as I am. I'm not even sure if I am successful today, but no, truly, without Ruth Post's guidance and help, we put out a newsletter. You know, I can't imagine 2 brand new people. And that's just speaking from my own experience. Thank you.
Sherry?
I don't know. I mean, I agree with Angela that it's cleaner, I think, to just do the appointments in May, but and I also believe that would give the region some time to decide how they're going to appoint, or how they're going to, you know, select their members, whether it's rotational. But I also agree that it is hard when you have 2 new members, if you don't have a member that has at least served, you know, that 2 years or year on the board. So now I'm torn. I don't know.
Chris?
Yes, thank you. Lisa, your point is well taken, and it is accurate. And what I would tell the board from my perspective is the decisions you're making regarding this are only going to embellish the overall regions and moving forward. We're not doing anything. There's no harm in the board extending Luann's current term for an additional year, just so we have the overlap. And there's no harm in bringing people on of May of 2023. These decisions aren't, there's no negative impact on the organization by straying from policy in this regard. The board has the authority to do things of this nature. This is somewhat unprecedented with the splitting of regions. So if the board wishes to extend Luann's term 1 more year so that everything overlaps and bring a new person on of 23, I think the board has that authority. And Connie, you'll have to tell me if I'm off base here, but there's nothing.
I do not believe the board has that authority. So the Constitution is pretty clear with the 3-year term. So I don't think the board has the authority to do it. I'm going to take a look at the Constitution right now.
All right.
Chris, should we leave this for an item at our mid-year, since it seems to be we want more information?
You can. It's up to you guys. I mean, again, I don't see a harm or anything negative in this regard. You're not violating any code of ethics, in my opinion. You're not putting the organization in any kind of financial or legal harm. It's just a matter of balancing the rotation.
I have 2 thoughts. Thank you, Pamela. I have 2 thoughts that I wanted to throw out. Number 1 is the fact that Luann was appointed and has not actually had the opportunity to serve a full 3-year term. So I certainly wouldn't object to the benefit of having her term extended, as long as the members of the new Region 8 West don't object to her term being extended. And possibly by delaying till our mid-year meeting to make a decision, we could get that buy-in from Region 8 West in some manner.
Sherry?
But Connie, could Luann just run again? Can Luann run again for another 3-year term? I can't hear you. You're muted. Connie was muted.
That was some.
Angela, do you want to speak while Connie's trying to unmute? Did you have something, Angela Richburg?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I hit my hand. Sorry.
You didn't. I just thought I saw you wanted to speak. My fault.
Madam President, if I may, until we figure out if we're going against our constitution, would the motion be then to extend Luann's term to expire in May of 2024, appoint a new director with a term May 2023 to May 2025?
I believe your parliamentarian said that we could not extend a director's term. Connie, is that right?
You're muted, Connie.
She's trying.
Okay. That is correct.
That would be the motion, Chris?
Yeah, you can't, I mean, the Constitution does not allow for that extension.
Yeah.
So then the motion.
My question is whether
what-
Luann can run.
Since Luann was appointed, she can run for that office.
Yes.
Right.
Could we
But
make
you
it a
have no
1-year
right to extend it. The board does not have the right to extend it, but she may run for the office in 2023.
Yeah. Thank you.
Could we set that term to be just 1 year?
No, it's 3 years terms according to the Constitution. This is something, again, you might want to refer to the new Constitution Task Force.
So you can have the vacancies have the new positions have a 2-year term, but the ones that run in May are 3-year terms. If I may, if Region 8 West designated has to set up their rotation, and if they set their rotation to say Nevada gets the seat again, Luann can run. Is that correct? But if they choose a different rotation, then she doesn't get that option to run.
It's going to be dependent on what they decide.
Can I make one last suggestion, please?
Please.
Okay. So in theory, if we didn't have this virtual meeting today, we wouldn't be having this discussion until the mid-year meeting in November. I think it's too complex of a topic to have it virtually, in my opinion. Connie, can we, whatever the proper terminology, table this?
Postpone.
Postpone until the mid-year meeting so we can
Yes.
actually get a little more.
I think that'd be a good idea.
And if that's the case and the board willing to do that, then that would give us a lot more time in person. And by then, the Region 8 directors and I will reach out to the new Region 8 districts and just find out what they want to do, if there's a rotation, and explain the situation and move forward that way. That might be best overall. And then that way we can come back to you with some solid options as opposed to just throwing out ideas right now. Thank you.
Sherry?
So I will make the motion to postpone this agenda item to the next regular meeting of the board in November.
Need a second?
Luann from Region 8 seconds.
Thank you, Luann. Okay, so this item will be postponed. So all of those in favor, please use your yellow hand. Thank you. So all those opposed, please use your yellow hand. And then since Stephen needed to sign off, can we excuse Stephen from the vote, Connie? Okay, so it's unanimous with Stephen being excused. So if there is no more discussion, last call. We'll adjourn the meeting at 2:10.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam President, I thought you meant on that item. I have one additional item speaking on behalf of a member on our YouTube channel.
Certainly.
There is a request for us on the topic, on the matter of conference bids to post an RFP, a successful RFP on our website.
We can do that, right, Chris?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we will. All right, so the meeting is adjourned at 2:11. Thank you all. See you in November.